All right. This is the after chapter discussion for 10.16N, the N for Novitian, not Nears. Um, I'm Mr. Wiggles. I'm co-hosting with Asteria. Say hello, Asteria.
Hey everyone. Yep, me and Mr. Wriggles here today.
All right. Anyways, let's start this. Everyone here, I'm sure, knows the rules for sure, for sure. Let's
We
just
actually
get
have been having a series of new people, so we should remind them.
All right, well, so to start it off, we talk um in this in a kind of like a in a structured way. So if you want to speak verbally, go ahead and ping myself or Hysteria, and we will come to you and call your name out to give your reaction. If you don't want to speak verbally, but you want whatever message you have to be read out loud, go ahead and type your comment out in ACD reactions and comments. If please keep that channel on topic. If you don't want your comment read out loud, go ahead and put it in ACD live chat instead. You can be more off topic in there. We're just gonna go ahead and get started with general reactions and comments to the chapter. So, how'd you guys like the chapter? Was it good? Was it bad? What kind of things did you really love? Anything like that? Go ahead. I will get us started off by saying I really loved this chapter. It was great. It was like a 8, 8.5 out of 10 for me. It
That's the rating
I
you give every chapter, unless it's a cult chapter.
debatable, debatable. I give chapters 9 out of 10s to 10 out of 10, sometimes 7 out of 10s. But for
I
this
I think I've
chapter,
heard 1 7 out of 10, so this is actually a lower end chapter for you.
no, no,
Interesting.
no, no. No,
Yeah,
no,
I
no.
think
It's
yeah, because it's
8.
usually a 7, 9 or
No,
10. I've
no,
heard a
no.
7 once, so an 8, that's it's interesting, Wiggles. Very interesting.
It was good. I
Mm.
really loved seeing the half-elf villages after all this time about hearing about the timeless quality there. Actually getting to see one of these villages was amazing, and it was basically like every single person there had extreme OCD. It was very interesting. Um, I don't think I ever would want to go to one of those villages. It sounds like a nightmare. Otherwise, it was really cool to see Erebate in general, and um, the new character who is going after Saria, Saray, I want to say her name is. I don't know how to pronounce it, but she's awesome, very Baba Yaga esque. Um, She's definitely a witch. I don't want to see. I don't want to hear anything else. OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder, Linu. It makes you want to do things in a particular way. Anyways, those were my thoughts. I really enjoyed it. What about you, Asteria?
I think her I've been calling her Tazera, but I'm
Okay.
sure I'll be corrected on that.
Who knows? Who knows with this name?
Almost guaranteed. I really like this chapter. I know that sometimes chapters with completely new characters and completely new people are a mixed reception for readers, but I think that this is gonna allow us to dig more into Syria's backstory, which I've been begging about for like volumes. We finally are digging into that. So I was really excited to see that. It's I think Irabate is also going to set us up to dig more into the mystery about what's going on between the half elves and the goblins and the Angelum and the Lucifin. So it looks like Pirate might be setting us up to dig more into that kind of lore, which we've been getting hints about only only recently, honestly. Like last volume, we got a huge lore dump. So maybe that's setting up to expand that a bit more, which is exciting. Overall, yeah, I really enjoyed the chapter, but I think what really clinched it for me was finally getting to see and dig into the Springwalker village, the village of the springs. I think that's where Pirate really hit their writing stride, and you've got flashes of description and the characterizations all coming together. And it finished off on a really, really strong note with Tazaire, especially in her characterization. And Wiggles, there is a distinct mention of her lack of a hat. Okay, so I was thinking witch too, but she doesn't have a hat, and the whole thing is that witches always have hats unless they give them up. So she might have been a witch at some point, but she's no longer a witch.
You know, generally, when someone doesn't have a hat, they don't need to mention they don't have a hat. It seems, it's just unspoken that they don't have a hat. The fact that
Unless you're used
Pianetta
to wearing one and then reaching for it and it's not there because you no longer wear
Oh,
one.
yeah, she could have given up her hat for now, but she's still a witch. She's still a
I
witch.
We have a distinct point that if a witch doesn't have a hat, she's no longer a witch. That's like a
She's
rule.
still a witch. Anyways, let's not get into the weeds of the witchiness of Zaire right now. Thank you, Asteria. How about we move on to chat? And there's quite a few of you who want to speak.
I don't know. I
Yash?
feel like debating with you a little bit, Wiggles, but
No, 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 no. Let's
fine.
let other people have fun.
Fair
Yash
enough.
Ketchum. How about we hear from you? What'd you think about the chapter? Yes?
I Aren't we letting Lino go first?
You want Lino to go first?
No, actually, let's double him a little bit. I'll go first. So I really like the chapter. I like the lore. I liked how we got a little bit of Rochelle. I don't Rochelle always makes me very uncomfortable, no matter whose perspective I'm reading from. So I'm happy that we got a little bit of Rochelle. I got to see how they worked on a kind of um spreading the goodness and how the PR strategies of Rochelle used to work in any case. So that was fun. I won't say fun, but that was interesting to know about. As per the Springwalker village, it was pretty much how I expected it to be. Given what we know about elves, we just saw the amplified version, half elf. We just saw the amplified version of what was already established, which was really fun. Um, I'm very excited about what Prince King Novitin is gonna do. Uh, um, Especially how he worded what he was gonna do. He's not going after vengeance. He knows there's nuance here, so he's gonna go after. He's only pursuing judgment. He wants to pass judgment on was what was done and what was wrong. I think we might see him go after Erin. He might not be able to find Erin, but he's gonna try to find her. Erin might invite him to the secrets. I have a feeling that's gonna come very soon, especially when she finds out that he's looking for her. He might make an appeal. This is something that I really want to see. Uh, I want to see the council that passes judgments on things with the Arbiter Queen. I feel like that's coming soon in this case, in Erin's case specifically, because because of the way Rochelle has been smoothing over facts, and because of the contracts that they're making, and because of this whole cover up that they're doing, there needs to be somebody taking a stand. And I have a feeling it might be Neravia, it might be Celt, it might be all of these nations which are slowly becoming anti Rochelle take a stand. And that's what I think, like an international court of justice. I think that's what Pirate is building up to, because all things considered, this what Rochelle did could be considered an act of war against Israel. And we might be seeing something like that happening. So I'm really excited. This was a setup chapter for sure. Um, there was a little bit of lore explained, but nothing out of the ordinary that I felt. Uh, Tesser was very interesting. I completely agree with Asteria that she is definitely a witch, and she might just be a different kind of witch. Somebody who tries to. It can be debated, yes, she might be a mage, but I think she's more. She's more of a witch. She gave more of that vibe. And I think she got rid of her hat because she wanted to hide. And a witch she can't be a witch if she doesn't have her hat. And because she was in hiding, she couldn't be a witch. So she had to. So that's why she gave up her hat. And it's going to be fun. I want to see her and Belavier at some point clash it out. I think we're finally getting a foil to Belavier. So that'll be interesting. And I really love the part about what golems. They're clearly going to see her trying to access her stuff in Vistram. And once she finds Syria, we're going to see them try and open up the floors, the higher floors of Vistram. So that will be very exciting as well. So a lot of setup that's happening here. So super excited.
Well,
Yeah, I'm done.
absolutely adore your enthusiasm. And yeah, I think the idea of Sarah being a witch is a really intriguing idea. We'll definitely have to see how it plays out and how it impacts Syria, especially because she now has this powerful half elf on her to bring her back or drag her back into some sort of peaceful zone. And it'll be kind of fun to see a family figure bully Syria. I think that'll be maybe a good, hopefully good for her, not bad. All right, so we accidentally skipped over
I
him,
missed
but
it.
let's hear
I
from
missed
Lanu.
it. I missed it. Lulu is not here right now. Asteria?
What? No. Where did Lanu go? Okay. Well, then we'll have to do Lanu when they come back. So we will go down to some comments. Mike says Pab is going to listen to this and hear Asteria judging Mr. Wiggles. Yeah, well, I think it's a given. it's a given. Sarah Bear says they think it was a fine chapter, nothing exceptional. It was a setup chapter, 7.5 out of 10. Not everything needs to be an 8 or a 9. Okay, so some agreement with you, Josh Ketchum, that this is a setup chapter, and we're going to dig into the real stuff next chapter, maybe, provided we stick with this plotline for a bit. Mystical Pie says they love this chapter, especially Nudivin's characterization and how Arabathe functions. They sympathized a lot with Nuvitten and actually kind of like him, unlike his son. The look into the village of Spring was also a lot of fun, and they're looking forward to seeing Tazer and Prildor learn about what Syria has been up to. All right, let's circle back to Gunman Dude.
Hey, so I'm in agreement that I think this is a fantastic world building chapter. It's nice to be able to have an entire chapter dedicated towards just describing and laying out what an entire nation is like, especially on the scale of the chapters that Pirate is known to write, word count wise. Fantastic at getting an idea of the uh, describing them as the sleeping three, I think is the term, and actually seeing how that term is applicable here. Because you have all of the non-mortal or borderline non-mortal races that are residing here, and the very much the sleeping giant aesthetic, especially since there was a literal giant throne that's been turned into housing. So I love all that. I am definitely in agreement that the Rochelle bit is frustrating or a little bit disturbing, but it is good to know that the propaganda department has finally been established proper, and this is a good look into seeing how they are able to uh, teeter on that line of pissing everybody off knowingly in order to get what they want, but never going just far enough to cause themselves to get war declared on them by everyone else. It's a very fine line, and now that they have one of the ancient ghosts backing them up, it's only going to get worse from here. Now, moving on to the king of, however you pronounce the nation, I found an interesting comparison in him to Flos in that his current state seems to be like a more recent version of how Flos must have felt when his Gambler of Fates, I think was her class, ended up getting killed. That's caused him to spiral into his depression. Having someone that you care for, someone who's very close, it can just, knowing that you lose them, it can just wreck a person. So to see him just pull himself together enough to put forth a campaign, I felt very compelling. And also, I doubt Sylvania was expecting to do this, but I think this campaign is intentional because he's going to come across Neri before the real Aaron. And we don't know, it has not been stated what that king's level is. So the idea of, oh, this person has this Sariant Lamb has disguised themselves as the person I am hunting after, and they did a perfect impersonation or seemingly perfect impersonation, that has earned some degree of respect. I'm curious to know how high the tally for the Trials of Levels will become after this campaign is over. And finally, going to the Village of the Spring. I thoroughly love the description of how the village is laid out, because you can go to, say, the places like Derthalvel or Lizardmen towns or the Drakewalled cities, and all of them feel more or less like places in the real world, but just slightly tweaked to feel fantasy. This is the first time since the Selphid temples and the Great Mines that we have seen a race where at the core of what they truly are like by themselves, you get a distinctly alien feel to them. That there's a lot of things that seem adjacent to how we normally live, but there is just a wrongness compared to how we live our lives. Pirate really did a good job at selling that. So, all in all, I agree. At least an 8 out of 10 on this chapter. As far as world building chapters have gone, I love it.
I really, really love your enthusiasm. I absolutely agree. Like learning more about the Village of the Springs, learning more about Irabathe, like 10 out of 10, really fantastic. I would have loved to spend an entire chapter, honestly, with the king just going around from to different sections of his kingdom and like meeting all the different groups that he was hinting at. I would have been completely happy with that. So 100%. Wiggles, any thoughts before we jump to the next general impression? Sure.
I very much agree with the description about the half elf village and how amazing it is. I loved it. I loved it. But let's not go too in depth. How about we go to the next person? Bleach
Mafia
Soul
hamster.
or Muffin Hamster? Bleach Soul was. Have we had Bleach Soul talk yet?
Yeah, no,
Oh
I
no,
have.
they are there. They're them. Sorry, please shows up. You're
Hello.
right.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I always like world building in chapters, so this was quite very nice to see. It gave us a little more depth about Erebeth as a nation and the village of the spring. I mean, like, go visit each other, people. What the hell? Yeah, but I really liked it. And with regards to like Tsuri, I think she's both witch and a mage. She has both classes probably. Uh, and but maybe she's more of a witch than mage, but who knows? But yeah, I mean, I was surprised that she and Sylvania go way back, and I wonder what's her past and why she has so many enemies. So it's a nice setup chapter. I always like the world building and uh, yeah, but yeah, it's setup service. So I'll give it 7 out of 10. That's it.
Thank you, Bleach Soul. Um, don't have any response to that. Asteria, anything you want to add?
I just always enjoy seeing the difference between sort of how world building is received among listeners. There's definitely people who always
Yeah.
want to focus on characterization versus world building, both. So I think this is really good coverage
Yeah.
of all bases, which is what I like because it really helps us dig more into discussion.
I personally really enjoy world building. It's one of my favorite things.
especially
Anyways,
if it
but
involves supporters and adventuring groups.
anyways, Muffy answer. You wanted to speak.
Yes,
Edoran, go ahead.
yes. I also love world building. Um, and this was a very nice world building chapter. The inside, I always love. What I love about most about world building is the inside of different races. We got that a lot with drakes and humans and gnolls because we followed them a lot. Now we got more of an insight into the life of half elves. It's very. I don't know if anybody has seen Frieren Beyond Journey's End. It's an anime also about a long-lived elf and who has problems with appreciating time. And it reminds me just imagine you are so stuck in your ways that a tree just suddenly grows up around you because you it's just amazing. I love stuff like this. Um that makes the race just just uh, just more interesting when you have little tidbits like this. And otherwise, I don't know if this was the right timing. I mean, I had expect this chapter a bit after, a bit sooner after what happened, and not like right now. Maybe the timing of the chapter was a bit off for me, but I am very excited about the expedition and what happens when the lamb meets the king. And there's gonna be, I'm expecting a big pirate ABBA moment again, and I just can't wait for it.
Heck yeah. We always get those Pirate Abba moments. And it seems like they wanted to edit the next chapters but explicitly so they could get a big moment in there and make it really good.
Mhm.
So yeah. Is
I
there
would agree
anything
with
else?
well, I'm just saying I would agree with, like, the timing of the chapter. This is something I would have expected maybe to start volume 10 with if we didn't
Yeah.
leap right into Aaron.
Yep.
Totally agree with you on that, and that might be something that for the aforementioned beta readers and for Pirate as well, when they're kind of putting together the book chapter order for the books, if they switch any of that around, that might be something to think about is swapping this to earlier in the volume or in the book, just in terms of like hitting different moments. But yeah, it's going to be cool to see how this all ties in because right now, right, we're catching up with all of the reactions
Mhm.
to what has happened to Aaron, right? Before we kind of progress onwards to Aaron's actions before we progress onwards in the series. And like you, I'm really interested to see what's going to happen from the king's journey to Tiandria, where he is going to confront what he thinks is Aaron and
Oh
how
my
that plays
goodness.
out.
This is gonna be a shit show. I love it. I love it already.
What I do hope doesn't end up happening is you've got multiple groups that say they're moving and they take forever to move, and then it all gets rushed at the very end because that's what happened at the end of volume 8. Kind of
Yeah.
happened in volume 9. So I'm hoping that with people on the move, we kind of keep that progression and it doesn't end up just being all crammed in at the end of the volume. That is one thing I'm leery of because as Wiggle said, we have these wonderful Pyro moments, but what we also have sometimes is a rush to get everybody, you know, in the same place and dealing with whatever it is that's coming up against them.
Mm.
So
But
we'll have to see how that
also,
plays out. Yeah.
but also I'm not sure. I mean, obviously I'm it's gonna be awesome, but another character, another plot point that was just opened, another, I mean, there are already so many open plot threads. I can't even imagine how Pirate can keep track of all of them because I sure almost can't. And now we have another character, another plot thread that is gonna be uh, opened. And uh, don't get me wrong. Again, I love this chapter, but maybe someday it's enough characters edition, and I don't know. It's yeah, I don't know.
Well, I would say that at least with these characters, they play into established plot lines, and I think we did need to see the Arabathe group. We did need to see Syria's a little bit more serious backstory. So at least these aren't
Yeah,
completely new in that sense. And let's be frank, like honestly, I think a lot of people really enjoy these new characters. So and we need
that's
some new
true.
ones after
That's
Pirate killed all of the other ones.
don't remind me.
Uh,
Don't remind me.
All right, thank you,
Oh,
Adaron.
yeah.
Let's read out some of these comments, and then we'll go on to the first discussion question. Asteria, if you want to figure out which that is, I'll read out the rest of the comments.
Oh,
And
putting the onus on me, huh?
yeah, Probable
Thanks.
Blob says, big fan of the chapter. Rochelle being evil was nice to see. King Boy was fun to read. The village life was fun. I am super hyped for Cesare. 9.5 out of 10.
Whereas Dark
Got
Time Goo Eyes says, Sea Ray, Pretty Door, and Nudie Tim going on an adventure and maybe Syria along the way. I saved you for some puns. Just throwing
thank
myself
you.
on that for you. You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Asteria. That was awful. Dark Time Goose, awful. Mike says, I really enjoyed the inserts of mystery throughout the chapter. It really made me feel like the kingdom myths fit the name fairly well. I like world building chapters a lot. I love just learning more build out. 8.5 to 9 out of 10 for me. Yeah, I agree. World building, good. World building, always good. Fire says this chapter was alright for me. I was never really interested in half elves, but I did enjoy reading about their villages. I'm also really interested to see if the king will cross paths with Rabbit during his quest to find Aaron. Um, I mean, I honestly feel like Rabbit's gonna meet Aaron at some point. So yeah, like the real Aaron, not Naren. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Kainea says Novitian and Tesseri were interesting characters, and I liked learning a bit about Seria's past. But for me, the chapter felt a bit drawn out, even for a short chapter. This chapter wasn't very short. Let's be honest. It was 27 point whatever K words. Wasn't even short. It wasn't. But I liked it. I really
It
love
was
seeing
short.
the world.
It didn't take all day to read.
Okay, that's how we're determining short now. All right, all right.
Yeah. I mean, it was great. Don't get me wrong. I was like, oh, I still have half of my afternoon left. This
Oh
is
my
great.
gosh, amazing.
No. Yeah, exactly. It was short by comparison.
Yeah. Samu says, great chapter, definitely on the better end of setup chapters. Very interesting introduction to the king, and especially his motivations and first glimpses at the cast around him and the village stuff was just gold. I really want Syria to go back there at some point with the horns to wreak just a little bit of havoc there, or just freeze the whole village for a day for revenge. uh, yeah, I don't think Saria ever wants to go back, to be honest. It seems
Are you saying
uh
Syria or Asteria?
Saria.
Oh.
Saria.
Okay.
I'm not saying you don't want to go back to the fictional village in the story we're reading, it's
Just
Saria.
checking.
Oh my goodness. All right. I think that's it for any general impressions. So
Did you
how
read
about we
Samu's?
yeah, that was the one I just read.
Oh, there's the nose. Gotcha. Did you pick
There's
out your first discussion question?
no, I left that to you, and then I will
I'm
do mine.
Oh, okay. Well, let's jump right into it.
Ooh, I forgot something.
Yes.
Oh, the line about half elves crying half of their tears when they meet mortals or when they have mortal children is, and that was an amazing line. I think that was Pirate is not the best when it comes to line to line dialogue, but that line was amazing. I liked it.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. All right, so we're going to jump straight into the world building questions because this is what we've been kind of dancing around during general impressions. So now that we have a more in-depth look into Erebathe's culture and norms, what do you think of their nation? What about New Vitten? The pacts that they have between the half-elf and the crown. Also, speaking of half-elves, half-elven way of life. Is it yay? Is it nay? What do you think about it in general? Wiggles, any thoughts before we go to Yash?
1 second. Okay, so I'm just gonna go with the half elven part of this question. The it it's a huge nay for me. It's a huge nay. I can't believe anyone ever would want to live like that. It feels like actual torture. It feels like torture. They're living in a torture chamber for their entire lives. I don't know what they're doing. It's truly, truly, truly awful. Like doing the same thing every day in the exact same way, like trying to do it the exact same time, exact same way. It's just awful. It's just awful. I could not do the half elven way of life, and those villages are genuinely terrifying. Um, Outside of
Well,
that,
yeah, go ahead.
I thought Erebathe's culture was pretty cool. I did really like how it was displayed, though it does seem to be stuck in the past a bit rather than more forward thinking. So that's an interesting dynamic for them.
I think one thing to point out though with half elves is the same that point that New Vitten made, right? Half elves aren't this isn't all half elves, the way we saw the Village of the Springs. And even Sari has pointed out, like, this is a clutch extreme group that really is into a certain way of life, but it's not all half elves. So I think that's something to keep in mind. The description
Yeah.
though, I think it's kind of meditative, right? Like they're very non-concerned with the ills and
No,
whatever of life.
they're not
Very
concerned with outside ills, but they're hyper focused on their own concerns. Like if something changes a tiny bit, they're extremely concerned with that. I wouldn't call them unconcerned. I would call them hyper focused on mundane concerns.
Well, I think there's something to that got hinted at, right? Is they're all trying to escape the idea of time. They seem to anytime they are forced to confront change, I guess, because it results from time, like it reminds them maybe of their own mortality, and they're striving for this idea of immortality. But we can dig more into that with the listeners. But I will say that the way of life described reminds me of something I remember hearing about in Japan, where people just kind of get really hyper focused on very mundane acts as a form of meditation, like cutting blades of grass so that they're all the same height with like a pair of scissors, or scrubbing tiles with a toothbrush. It's just something that seems kind of ridiculous at first thought, but the idea is to detach yourself and just allow your mind to kind of enter a zone of calm. And that's what I kind of felt like with the half elves, but maybe taken to more of an extreme. So interested to see if that resonated with anyone else who maybe is a little bit more familiar with that uh, sort of meditative practice. Improbable Blob says, sounds like a good time. They'd live there, so they disagree with you, Wiggles. But to Yash, what are your thoughts?
I absolutely agree with Asteria. It reminded me a lot uh, of what a lot of our meditative acts are like back home, where you completely detach from the material world. You have your own microcosm where you're focused on, let's say, it reminded me of an ashram. It reminded me of people who are high and who are like, but they're not high on some substance. They're high on their own calm. So, if that makes sense, like they get addicted to that sense of calm and then they don't want to come out of it. It reminded me a lot of what. Okay, so there is this group in India. They're called the Aghoris. They're actually they're kind of creepy and they're really crazy, but they consider themselves free of all material things. They don't see good and evil. They don't concern themselves with silly mortal questions. They are more about the self, their perfection, perfecting yourself, perfecting your mind, and the it reminded me a lot of that. But yeah, like it reminded me kind of a time capsule where you take one moment in time and do try to implement what an immortal moment does. So one moment in time that everyone agrees that this is the moment that we want to stretch for eternity. And they just keep it that way. Everybody works towards keeping that moment the way it is, which I find quite interesting. Being committed to some one moment in time. So that I really liked it. Speaking of Eribeth as a country, of course it's living in the past, but I think that's because they don't want to make extreme shows of power. Be it reminded me a lot of Celt actually in an odd way. Um, an extremely powerful country, not interested in showing off. They want to be left to themselves. They are okay with visitors, but they don't want a change in their culture. They're diverse amongst themselves, but they're not diverse to outside ideas as much. I like the idea of the whole country surrounded by mist, such strong mist that people get lost in them, armies get lost in them. I think it gives the entire region an aura of otherworldliness, which adds even more to their lore. I wanted to learn more about the half giant, not the half giants, the giants that used to live there. I wonder, I had a really tough time imagining how their architecture would have looked like because I think it was mentioned that one chair or one seat was converted into an entire house. That would have been really, really cool to see. I am sort of imagining Stonehenge like structures everywhere. Um, Big rocks, don't know how they came to be there, realized they were from the giants, and just a lot of lore over there. I can tell that there's a lot of stories embedded in the culture itself, which maybe the world is unaware of. But also, I feel like Erebeth is sort of a metaphor for the rest of the world, which have lost their mysteries, lost their mythology, lost their story. It's one of the quiet nations, the sleeping country, the sleeping giant, because they have willingly forgotten or hidden away the secrets of power, the secrets of leveling, the secrets of their ancestors. They've kept it to themselves and they're not interested in sharing that knowledge. And that kind of seemed like a metaphor for the era of the wandering in. And Eribeth waking up also is sort of a metaphor for the rest of wandering in, that the era is changing and great magics are coming back. People are going to start leveling. And the best part is that Erin is the one to instigate it because this new change of era has come from Erin. Even the Earthers within Eribeth itself weren't as influential to the country as Erin was, which speaks to a larger narrative. So I felt there was a lot of synergy there. So overall, I think the country itself was awesome. Prince Newton, King Newton was great as well. I liked his comparisons to Flaws and Real. I think he's going to be another king that we can get behind. He's going to be someone we hate that we love, and I like that. And speaking of the pact, it's very interesting that I always thought that the human kids were the kids of the half elf itself, and it was a result of the pact that the kids were not here. But learning that they've been adopted, I wonder whose kid it actually is. Is it somebody who's been adopted, or is it just the king's kid? I think it's just the king's kid with somebody else. But then what happens to the mom? Like, uh, oh, I'd really like to know. Half elven way of life was also, again, I understand that this is one extreme. But I think half elves have always struck me as a little too proud of their elven heritage and not proud enough of their human heritage, but that's okay. I think one of the things that we're going to get to know through exploration of Eribate and its lore is why all the spirits, all the sprites, the spring sprites, the winter sprites, and all the fey folk, why they call the half elves whores and you know all those kind of terms, negative terms. So that would be interesting to know what the original pact was. Why why are they considered whores? Um, it'll be good to know. And yeah, overall, yay. I'm okay with the way half elves live. There is a sense of wanting to be something that they're not, but that's okay. If that's what they want to do, that's fine. And yeah, in general, I'm okay with half elves. I like how they've been portrayed, and I wouldn't mind living such a life.
All right,
I,
thanks for that, Yash. Lots of great detail there, especially for other people to kind of jump off of with their responses. Let's see. So, Sarah Bear, you're up next.
I'll make it a bit short. Starting with the elf. I wouldn't want to live there, but I think in a way it's a bit normal, or they work or they live and all that. Even us human are a bit stuck in a routine. Imagine every morning you grab your cup of coffee. You do your usual routine. What happened if you, let's say, your empty cup of empty mug is not there? It's maybe next to the right of something or to the left of something, but we get a bit frustrated when that happens. We're like, oh, where is it and all of that. So it's really nice to see that taken to an extreme in the story. In the story, and for everybody, uh, the kingdom, just said it best. The kingdom is really otherworldly, with all the language, the myths, the fact the previous queen is now sweeping the world. The barbarian out of nowhere. It feels like Iradoan didn't fit in that kingdom. So it would explain why he wanted to leave, he wanted to be active, he wanted to do something else. It, it, I think it's a bit sad won't see a lot more because the character are going to leave, but what we have been shown has been great.
Yeah, I really have enjoyed all of the facts and the lore drop as well, and I'm hoping that we'll get to know a few more different members of the Arabatha Kingdom and the group of 10,000 that the king is taking with him to on his quest for justice. Let's see. So Darchan Gubai says, has Syria's eating habits achieved the elf zen, half elven Zen ideal? Since she asked to make one with everything. Maybe I think they would be not as amenable to that idea of cuisine, what she considers cuisine, as you might think. Whimsical Banana says Erbathe is cool, not as racist as I would have thought. The pact with the crown is still very messed up and parasitic. In my opinion, the half-elf way of life seems pretty boring. Why seal yourself away if perceived lifespan is similar to normal people? Yeah, but I think that's the point, is that it's not. It's right, it's done in centuries. But there's something about these guys that they're chasing after this idea of immortality. I don't think it quite has been fully explained, but they're trying to embrace, I guess, maybe this longer lifespan, or maybe they're just trying to get away from those with shorter lifespans because they lose them all too quickly, and maybe the pain gets to be too much. Still not quite clear on that. Wiggles, any thoughts before we jump into the next responders?
Yeah, it seems just like a way to get away from the mortal world, basically. It seems like a way for them to cope with their longer lifespans more than anything else. I don't think it's super healthy either. It seems too much. Um, it's just like it's kind of over the top, but it's hard to say what you do in that kind of situation where you could live hundreds of years longer than anyone else you would ever know. Um, in regards to the pact, I don't know. It doesn't seem parasitic to me. Like that, if half elves didn't want to be part of that pact, I don't know why they would keep doing it. It doesn't really make sense that they would keep this pact going for so long. It's not like Erebathe is like a kingdom of half elves. It's not like uh, they're it's not like they're the only bastion left for half elves, and if they don't do this pact, all half elves ever are going to die. It seems like they get something out of this pact that they want too, so they're sticking with it. Anyways, I think that's it for my responses. I'll let's go to Mafia Hamster Eteron. Go go go.
Um, I have, to be honest, I have lost a bit my train of thought. Uh, you can skip me for now.
All right, thank you, Eteron. Bleach Soul. How about you?
Yeah, but I think also like it's like a pact done. They don't have to be happy with it. I mean, the half elves are not happy with it probably, but it's like a duty, like in the Middle Ages where like princesses marry the other of one kingdom, marry the other from another kingdom just to create peace or to have like kind of to stop the war or. I think it's something like that probably. They give up a lot half elf, of course. To give heirs to the kingdom. So yeah, I wouldn't be also happy about that much. But I think since I think that the tradition should most maybe allow them to meet and court each other before just wed. So at least they get to know each other and what type of person they are. Uh, yeah. Yeah, so I think it's just quite like cruel things to do, but it's thing out of duty, and just doing your thing. Yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you, Bleach Soul. How about you, Red Ink Quill? How about you? Oh,
Yeah. So with regards to the half elf village or the village of spring, I think that it's very similar to the immortal villages that we saw on the Goblin Isle, where it's timeless. And what does that mean? Time is really the progression of entropy. So change, destruction, renewal, growth. But it's basically how things degrade and also become interesting in life. Uh, that's entropy. So in a half elf village, they try to reduce entropy, change in however many ways they can. Like Sarah didn't even move from her chair for like a decade. She just sat there. They remove all kinds of different weeds, quote unquote, and the ones they don't remove are trees because they're too difficult to remove. But they don't even cut them down because that would require changing. They just go around them. Um, so I thought that was interesting. I think that if you want to live a very long time in you have to do things that where you're not experiencing the changes of life, because if you do you won't live long, because changes of life increases your entropy. So you'll die sooner. That's regardless of whether it's dangerous to experience the changes of life. It's just that it's dangerous to do it because time will progress for you. So even if they have immortal blood, I think they only live like 200 years if they're entangled in life. Like they don't live, they live a long time, but they don't, like normal entangled half elves, I don't think live for 1,000 years, 2,000 years. Savannah is like 4,000 years old at least. I think Sarah is a similar length of time. With regards to the marriage pact to make kings live longer, and by giving up your lifespan, it seems to me that it could be a way to have a more stable rulership for longevity, because if there's a lot of changing rulers and different heirs want different things and things will change over and over again. And so for half elves, they wouldn't want to see things become unrecognizable. So a pact would be beneficial for them because things will change very slowly. Because we saw with Illidan, and he wanted to do a totally different things than what the current king wanted to do. And then the new heir wants to make big cities on the border. But imagine if that happened every 50 years instead of every 300 to 500 years, then the Arabath would be unrecognizable to the half elves that live a very long time, and it wouldn't be beneficial to them. So I think they benefit as a whole, but I think it's definitely very hard for the woman that marries into the pact. But that's what I think about it. I don't know. Yeah.
Thank you, Red Inkwell. I'm glad you shared your thoughts. Asteria, any responses to that?
I agree that it's definitely probably difficult for the woman who marries into it. I mean, for one, she's trading half her lifespan. For two, she potentially, I mean, it's going to vary presumably queen by queen, but like she can raise the children that she's having, but it sounds like she can't necessarily have them. And while that's
Yeah.
not necessarily like an important thing, depending on, kind of who you are, you can still, if you're the kid's mom, you're raising the kid. But if for whatever reason it's important to them to like be able to have their children kind of by giving birth to them, and they can't do that as queen, that's also something that they're potentially trading as a choice for when they make this marriage. And one thing I don't think we really know is if it's something where they're selected. It doesn't sound like they fall in love. It doesn't sound like
Yeah.
there's a courting going on.
Oh.
So I'm curious as to how the arrangement is made and how it's decided. If somebody volunteers, if there's like a round robin that kind of goes around. So I would definitely agree with those points where it does sound a little parasitic. I would agree with that evaluation.
Just another thing. The biological mother is another human. So the biological mother, whether they're in the lives of the kings or not, they're going to die very soon relative to the age of their sons. Illidan was a child basically, but he was 7 years old. His mom probably died when he was 30 and still like very immature. So I think that's interesting. The effect that has on people. I thought Paradaba should have maybe, like what I've noticed in staying in an organization long enough, you get tired of how things aren't the way they used to be, how people used to be there but they're not anymore. So I thought that like maybe should have been mentioned, but yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate your insights and your thoughts. So let's jump to, let's see, I think is that everyone, Wiggles?
Yeah, that's everyone for this
All
question.
right. So let's jump to the next one, which is your choice.
All right, since we focused on a kingdom and culture, let's focus on one of the new characters we saw this go around. This is a big question, but it's basically just what do you think about Zeri and her relation to Sylvania? How powerful is she, and what can we expect from her in the future? And there's a bunch of questions around her too. Like it seems implied that Zeri is some sort of witch that's Grand Magus. What do you think she would say to Aaron, assuming she already met false Aaron? Is Cesare some kind of Baba Yaga with her walking cottage and witchy tendency? Was Cesare's relationship with demons a Blight Kingdom? Why did she withdraw to the Village of Spring and wear hat? So, this is the question. If you have any comments on Cesare, anything like that, this is the question for you. This was definitely a strong point in the chapter for me. At the very end, I really loved this scene. It was just a very cool scene to see, especially because it's very clear that Cesare was Sylvania's apprentice at one point in time. And that means Cesare is freaking old. She is old.
Is she the
The other,
oldest, barring the dead and immortal characters?
yeah, she probably is. Like, uh, I'm pretty sure she's older than all the Lucifin. She's older than all the Agelum too. She's just an ancient character at this point.
I
So
thought
yeah.
half elves topped out at around 1,000 years. No?
No, we've never gotten an upper bound on their age, and so far, like the only one who we've seen seemed really old was Dioname, and that was because of her magic, her age slash time magic that she was using. But we've never seen one die of old age, never ever, which is very interesting. But anyways, Tasari, I think the most interesting aspect for her is that I think she will be how we learn about what happened with the Blighted Kingdom and the Demon Kingdom that started that war. Like it's clear she knows the truth there, and I think she's the most likely character we'll get that truth from in the near-ish future. I think it's definitely something we'll figure out in Volume 10 at the least. Otherwise, I think she's a witch. The fact that she mentions having no hat right now, which is just, out there, no reason to say it other than it's it's a hint from Pirate Abbott that she will have a hat in the future, or she can pick up her hat at some point.
But she
But
doesn't
yeah,
have a hat, Wiggles.
it's still a witch, still
And
a
she
witch,
knows
sister.
mage spells.
Yeah, okay.
So
Witches are a magic class. They do mage spells. They do.
yeah, but
It's
are
just
they a
they're not
Windstrom?
as good.
I thought that was a
Yeah.
mage thing.
No, no, no. Wistrom has witches. It's been mentioned before that witches come there to learn too.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
We shall
like
see.
like Califor. Califor was someone who used a lot of mage spells when she was alive. Bellavir uses mage spells all the time, even if she's not the best with them. But yeah, the witches do use mage spells. It
You
happens.
know,
What happens?
this is gonna super confuse like any readers that are looking at the Wandering In art with the Baba Yaga in.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
it could.
pointing this out, this early art is gonna be super confusing for the
Yeah,
poor
yeah, yeah.
readers.
Don't worry.
Has there
What?
go ahead.
They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out eventually. They'll get through
Has
the
there
10 million words.
11? I think we're up to 11, maybe 12. Anyway, has there been a mention of her? I feel like she's been
Oh,
referenced before or hinted
well,
at least like her
there.
presence, not her name.
Yeah, her name has never been mentioned. I'm not sure about her presence. She feels very new to me. I mean, we've had hints before in the past of like really old half elves sitting in villages before, but I don't think she in particular was hinted at least in my mind. I don't remember anything like that.
I think the biggest thing that was like that we learned, like other than her relationship with Syria, was the fact that she's like golems. What? and in Windstrom, I was
Yeah.
like, oh right. Well, she's definitely in the before times.
Yeah, she's been in the village for at least 4 centuries, so
And
She's missed
she's
out
been
on
to
the
the
golem.
upper levels
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Windstrom, so that's huge. All right,
Definitely a
what's
high
your
level.
question? Go ahead.
All right, let's see. Let's hear from everyone else. Yash, how about you? What do you think?
I really liked her. I think she's kind of awesome. I think she lost her sense of time, of course, but she's extremely powerful. She's trying to downplay that. It was very clear. She doesn't want to reveal her identity because she thinks people will know immediately who she is and they're going to come after her. And this might be because she, in a way, used to support the demon. And yeah, I think she used to be on the demon side, but at some point she thought, okay, they will sort this amongst themselves, and either they'll sort it out or she left. She left the war effort and she went into hiding. But she was definitely on the side of demons, as far as I could tell. And for some reason, she left. So we'll figure that out why that happened. Second, my favorite scene in the whole chapter, my absolute favorite scene, was when her chickens pointed their chicken butt bazooka at Sylvania and were just ready to pop eggs on her. I mean, that was fire. Like that was my favorite scene. I think that was my favorite scene in a long time. Like, I want to see chicken butt bazooka so bad, so bad. I know they can do it. I know they can like egg on people as much as they want. And overall, I think her chickens are also immortal or as close to immortality as possible. Clearly, they have not died in 400 years. So they have some aspect of Ceres immortality. Um, she's a witch. My third point that I really want to talk about, I think she left her hat at Wisdom when she went into hiding. I think she was a supporter of the demons, but she was still at Wisdom. In fact, I have a feeling she might have known Archmage Fior, or she might have just missed the Archmage Fior. Um, but her hat is definitely in the upper floors on Wisdom, and that's why she wanted to go. She wanted to go to Wisdom so that she can get her hat. So that will be very interesting to see. She, I don't think, I think it was who? I think it was the other half elf dude, the one whose name starts with a P, Pill Popper. Pill Popper was the one who mentioned about the nice golems. I think he's talking about the three golems that Archmage Zelkir used to have. And he thought they were very nice. So it's clear that he's been to Wisdom as well at some point when he thought that these three ladies were very nice. But I don't think he witnessed the war as well. Uh, I don't think he missed two of those columns dying. Uh, and Seri doesn't know about the columns at all. So I don't think she knows Archmage Zelkir. I think she missed completely. So she might not have been at Wisdom. So if she was not at Wisdom when the upper floors were locked, she left her hat there way before the upper floors were locked. She might know then why the upper floors were locked in the first place. That's something I'm really interested in knowing about. But yeah, I think we're gonna see an arc very soon where she goes to Wisdom. Um, that'd be fun. Now, this is weird. I know I should know this. I've heard of Baba Yaga, but I have no idea what the story of Baba Yaga is. When I saw the house moving, I thought it was something straight out of. I don't know if you guys remember, there used to be this movie called Monster House, and that's what it reminded me of, where she might know how to like implant souls into inanimate objects or chickens. And because she's a witch, right? She might know some kind of witchy magic where she might imbue somebody with someone's soul. And so yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun as well. I want to see her interact with the goblins. We know for a fact that she's at least half of Sylvania's age. Even if Sylvania was 2,500 years old when she was at Wisdom. So Tsere would be at least 2,500 years old, but she might be older still. And but yeah, so demon supporter, hat and Wisdom, and chicken bazooka, chicken butt bazooka. Those are my three takeaways from the entire lore we got on Tsere.
I I love it that your favorite scene in a long time is the chicken butt bazooka. I- That's perfect. I love that. I
No,
don't know.
just no.
No, 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 no. That's
No.
great. That's great. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes,
Look,
yes.
there needs to be a lid on the ridiculousness of certain characters,
No, no,
and
no,
Chicken
no,
Butt
no, no.
Bazooka is just a step too far like the Porcelain 5. Just no.
Nope, nope. Porcelain 5 are amazing.
Well,
Anyway.
they're Porcelain 3 now,
There is
right? Because
no
2 of
cap
them
on
died.
ridiculousness, okay? I want I
There's
want Pirate to take it further.
nope, we
Like
don't need to get into anime grounds. We
It's
really don't.
Porcelain 4, Asteria, only one of them died. I'll test you. Anyways, on your comment about her age, the one thing we do know is that Sylvania left Wistrom before she joined the Demon Kingdom, and she was there for like the start of the Demon Kingdom, basically. So I think it's pretty comfortable to say that Tessare, however you want to say it, is somewhere around 4,000 to 5,000 years old. She's she's very old. She's very old. Um, but yeah, somewhere around there. And I'm definitely very interested in seeing her go places and explore and do everything. And it's just going to be great, especially if she goes back to Wistrom and kicks Cognita's butt and Eldivin's butt. Both of them need a butt kicking at this point in time. Samu, how about we hear from
Cognita
you?
is doing fine. Sorry, Simon, one
No,
second.
no, no.
Cognita is doing fine. She's finding herself again, planting yachts and bossing around merchants.
Yeah, but she's also still walking the upper floor, you know?
Yeah, well, there's
That
probably good
deserves a
reason for that.
butt kicking. That
Yeah.
deserves a butt kick.
And just a quick rundown for everyone. Baba Yaga is from Slavic mythos. There's a very, I don't know all the stories about her, but she's often portrayed as kind of this like ogre troll looking like character with a hut that runs around on chicken legs. She sometimes is the evil witch that eats children, and other times she's this gracious older lady who helps out heroes. Depends on the story, depends on the tale. Encourage you guys to check that mythos out, but that seems to be the inspiration behind this character in part, especially with the chicken leg hut.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Asteria. How about we hear from Samu? Samu? If you're speaking, Samu, we can't hear you.
They're muted,
Yeah.
and I think they just left chat.
How
Nope,
about
they're
we
back.
how about we come back to Samu? Reading Quill, how about you go ahead?
Okay, so for Yaskachan, Baba Yaga is like basically, I think it's either the witch that has the house that's also like a beast and it has chicken legs, it can walk around. It's either the house or the witch that animated it. Um, that's the story of Baba Yaga. So if you're thinking of like another story that has a monster house, it's probably after Baba Yaga. That's like an old Eastern European fairy tale. With Sarah, she's definitely old. She's definitely a witch. Nanette is a witch. She doesn't have a hat right now, but I think it's a similar situation. Perhaps she hasn't lost her class, but perhaps she has. Um, I'm not sure everyone is like Erin, where she could just conjure the hat on her head, but I feel like getting a skill to summon your hat would probably be pretty normal over the course of leveling up, and she seems high level. Um, what's Sarah's relationship with the demons of the Blighted Kingdom? She seems like she's enemies with the Blighted Kingdom, and they're going to remember her. Uh, I think it's more interesting what's going to happen with Sarah and Saria, because Sarah always intended to teach Saria, but she thought that she had forever, and Saria left before that could happen. So I think it's less that Saria's going to be brought back to the Village of Spring, but more that she's going to be taught. We'll see if Saria will break level 40 before that happens or after. I don't know what time frame we're working with here. As Saria said, an end of volume thing, or is it something that's going to happen earlier? It'll be very interesting. But I think this is a fantastic new character. This chapter was worth it for the King character and Sarah character. So I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was I her character added a lot to the chapter, honestly. It was great to see her, and that bit at the end was just really, really cool. Asari, any thoughts?
No.
Okay. Sir Bear, you're up next.
So I'm gonna be controversial. I don't think she's a witch because obviously the at the no at mention, because a witch without her at is not a witch that can do magic really, because everything is in the hat. Uh, I think she's a naturalist mage. For those that forgot, in 8.52, we saw one that sold ice cream to the Neon at the meeting, to Marsha, to Gary, and all that. A naturalist mage is not capable of making giant wall of ice unless they're standing near a lake. So they take from the environment, from the weather. We know the house was made of fly food. I don't remember the exact name. So so Sarah could have used that to make it be able to move in all of that. She it feels she got a weather aura with the storm, the sun, and all of that stuff. So I I think that is stuff. Um, a meeting with Sarah would be fun. Would be great, especially one. Sarah probably learned that Sarah almost killed another trailer herself. Since we can assume that Sarah probably participated or saw the Craters War. It was a part in all of that, so maybe it would impress her and make her change her mind a bit. Another theory I have about Sarah is she's a known death. Not one of the OG5 that were alive recently, but one from before that time that suddenly retired and enough of the war and wanted some peace and went back to the half elf village to do stuff. And
Yes.
I don't know if she will meet Irene or not. I feel she will get the everybody group or people to tour Syria, because Syria will need a teacher for magic and all of that stuff. And we can assume that Sarah knows stuff. And finish.
All right. Thank you, Sir Bear. I'm actually kind of surprised we haven't heard anyone else bring up the theory that she's possibly the fourth death that we've heard about in the past, because I'd seen quite a few people talk about it in the other Discord server. And yeah, I think it's a pretty good theory. I don't think it's like perfect, but I think right now she's like the the one person the one person in the lead for who the fourth death is
I thought we
that'll
knew who they were, that they were like recovering or something.
no, we have no idea who the fourth death is.
Well, but I would say that it's not her because it sounds like, right, Sylvania's she's trying to lure her to become a demon or join the demons,
Yeah,
but she could also potentially fight for the Blighted Kingdom.
yeah. The theory isn't perfect. I think most people think that it's like a future telling ability from Thalilochian, or she's a retired death who could come
Mm.
back. Yeah, it's not a
I like
perfect
to
theory.
No, I think it's interesting to see what group it is that Sylvania mentioned, right? There's a group of them that she knew some of them survived, and that this half elf seems to be part of whatever group Sylvania is referencing. But it doesn't sound like she's part of the Deathless.
I think the group is honestly Sylvania's old students, old companions even.
Hmm, interesting.
But yeah,
Maybe I'm of the mind more that she's a sorcerer. I like that theory.
a sorcerer. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
they need
Well,
hats.
say that again.
They need hats. Sorcerers are known for their hats.
Sure they are. Sure they are. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
There's literally a whole short dedicated to it, Wiggles.
Sure. Sure. Also, Dark Time Goo says, what if the weather effect is her hat? I think it was pretty explicitly stated that the weather effect was a spell that she had going on that she released at the end there. Um, but who knows if it's like tied to her aura in some way. Anyways, thank you, Sir Bear. Bleach Soul, you wanted to speak. Bleach Soul?
Yes. Yeah. With regards to Tseri or whatever. Yeah, I think you know. I think she gonna be like she might be a major factor for Syria development. She will be a major factor for Syria's development, and I don't know how powerful she is, but she seems like quite knowledgeable about stuff about magic. Um, uh, yeah, I think I'm not sure what's her. I mean, she was the apprentice of Sylvania, so. But I'm not sure what's that has to do with the many adversaries that she has. So probably when she gets out of the of the village, some people will know about. I mean, people will know about her, and they will probably start attacking her or something. Yeah, but I think she's gonna be like a huge development for Syria. I hope, like with regards not only to her magical ability, but also her personality and her past, and confronting Syria was and Syria confronting maybe this theory about the life of elves and giving her like a perspective of the modern world or something. Like I think they're gonna be a vehicle for developing each other and not only one way. Um, yeah, and also I think she might also help Pisces with his necromantic and mage abilities. So yeah, she's gonna help him, and I don't think she's gonna force Syria into the village, but she's. I'm not sure if she's gonna come back to the village after this. Syria, I mean, yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you, Bleach Soul. It certainly seems like some the direction that Syria could take with development. Saw from her perspective earlier this volume that she feels like she can't develop as much as the others without her circlet. And now there's a teacher who might show up at some point in the future, though that teacher is very far away, and their goal is to get to Aaron and not Syria. So we'll see how that goes and how everything works out there. Anyways, Samu, do you want to speak?
Yes, sorry, I was gone earlier for exactly the 30 seconds where you called on me, probably.
That yeah,
Um,
it's fine.
yeah, so I want to weigh in a little bit on this whole relationship to Sylvania and the Blighted Kingdom, and to me it seemed that Sarah is definitely more neutral in this conflict than Sylvania, and probably basically backed out when Sylvania chose the demons. But yeah, she's definitely involved somehow. So I guess Sylvania checked out what Sarah is intending to do and would have probably killed her if she said, "Yeah, I'm gonna fight the demons." So it's probably a similar situation with the Blighted Kingdom, who are, as we all know, very trigger happy in killing everything and everyone that they think might be a danger. Um, and yeah, I think that all that relationship to Sylvania is interesting, but also that Sylvania asked her whose grandniece it was, and when Sarah said it was Layla, I think it's Syria's grandmother's name. Sylvania didn't even ask; she knew Syria's grandmother, so I found that an interesting tidbit to and yeah. I'm also more on the witchy side of things because for her class, because she also said that Layla should have taught Syria, not her. So I think it makes sense if Layla had more of a mage related class and she had more of a class that wasn't as magey as others. So that would make sense to me that she's not a pure mage. And yeah, and in general I think she's gonna be a great character. And my favorite scene in the chapter was when she said that Palidor, I think his name is is not that he's a good man, but he's not gonna be able to find an adventurer or something. I think she also mentioned dragons in that sentence. I don't have it here right now, but it's that she like, and also that she says he's squishy and yeah, and is squeamish when he has to kill ants. So I think she's gonna be a great and cool character, and also very. She seemed like she had seen some fighting, so um, I'm really looking forward to seeing her in action and teaching people stuff. And yeah, that's all.
Oh, absolutely. I'm very much looking forward to her uh getting out of Erebate and, kind of being a force basically because obviously she's a very high level mage and she's very old, so she knows some things and I'm very interested in seeing that. Uh Asteria, any reply to this?
Nope. I think you said everything.
All right. Whimsical Banana says Sylvania's nation of origin is apparently still around. Could she be from Erebate? Um, when we saw Sylvania's mention name or nation of origin, get like wiped off from Celt's walls, it was a four-letter word. So the only nations we know of that could fit that would be Avel or Kaz, and Kaz actually has more than four letters in it because it's Kaz is a shortening of the full name. So it's almost certainly Avel that is where
Um,
Sylvania was born.
which I
Don't
don't
me,
don't
Asteria.
think
No,
that's
no,
the
no, no.
case.
No, 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 no,
I
no,
don't
no.
think that's the
No, no,
case.
no, no. It's
As much as I
definitely the
enjoy
case.
Abel, I'm pretty sure that's not it.
Listen, have you seen Ichermedes? Him and Sylvania, they get on like two peas in a pod. They're the exact same,
What?
sorta.
Okay,
Uh,
Lanu's not here to argue with you, so I will argue with them on your behalf. No. Just no.
uh,
We haven't seen the
uh,
country mentioned, or potentially the country's name has changed over time.
I
So
disagree. I'm pretty certain it's Avel, but let's not get too into weeds.
what
I
you
think it's
just
got something to do with the god.
Mm,
yeah, that is potential too, but it could be Rahir. Rahir is a four-letter word. four-letter
Well,
country
it
or a
it's
nation,
Tangerine Nation.
whatever.
It's a Tangerine Nation, though.
Anyway,
Or
it's not
yeah.
evil. All right. We're at about an hour and a half in. Did you want to do another set of discussion questions or wrap up and let people free speak? Wiggles.
Um, do you have a closing question? Do you want?
Um, we didn't really talk about Rashal. We didn't really talk about Sylvania all that much, but we did kind of talk about them in tandem with Sarah.
Yeah.
Did you want to spend some time talking about Rashal?
Yeah, let's wrap this up with the Rochelle question we have. Here, let me type it in chat.
I mean, it's not the lightest topic to end the discussion on, but that was kind
Oh,
of like, other than the King Nutrivin, like one of the big parts of the chapter that we haven't really discussed at all.
yeah.
Uh, Bleachhill points out we didn't talk about the Agellum. No, we didn't talk about how the Agellum was one of many species that have left the kingdom and that's weakened the kingdom myths over time. I guess we kind of discussed it during world building, but that was sort of a tie-in to the king's father's time, because I guess the older prince was killed, presumably by the goblin, or brought death to the kingdom, was the
Yeah.
takeaway that I got.
Yeah. I think that's probably true.
Which begs
I
the question, why didn't they have another child, or at least another son? Like, if one of his brothers died, right? He's had that experience. Why didn't they have more than one kid?
uh some parents just don't want to. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I'm just
I
saying
don't
they
know.
placed a lot of stock in having like this friggin' kingdom, whatever inheritance deal. It just seems a
Yeah.
bit weird that they didn't have more than one. Anyway, so the Rashal question. Rashal and their diplomatic efforts, are they going to not get heavily punished at all, or maybe the hammer of justice will help them even in the end? I think this is just building up to this slavery arc that's been being pushed for a volume now, 2 volumes. We thought it was going to end up being last volume, but it wasn't. So I think we're still trying to see what the big arc is going to be for volume 10. I'm still of the mind that we're going to be pushing the slavery as the overarching arc for volume 10 and not the Newlands. So I kind of hope that the hammer of justice will hit by the end of the volume. I really don't want to see that dragged out too much longer. Wiggles?
Yeah. I I I'm not of the same opinion in that I think this volume is going to be a bit lighter in terms of like drawn out battles and such. So I do think we won't see Rochelle be. Um, I don't think we'll see Rochelle be destroyed or anything like that. Especially because they still have quite a few very high level of their slave lords around. So I do think it's gonna be more of a drawn out. They're the one of the bigger enemies. They'll be more drawn out and getting rid of them over time. So I don't think this volume will have Rochelle be completely destroyed.
You
Honestly, I
want
don't see them getting heavily punished for this either. Like
to?
they've already kind of weathered the storm, just surviving for a month without getting any significant lashback, basically.
We need our secretary to go up against their, what do you even call it? Their like public media perception person and like
Yeah.
destroy her. We need that to happen.
That would be fun to see, but it just
PR
I
rep.
don't think
Yeah. We need our
yeah.
secretary to take out the PR rep.
I just don't think it could happen this volume. Do you mean Sally, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
What other secretary have we met?
I don't know, but it's just like Sally in
You love
particular.
Origin. You love Origin.
Uh,
You should know the
listen,
secretary
listen,
reference.
Asteria, listen. She I don't know if she's in a position where she could do something
She's one of the
against
highest
them.
leveled individuals in the world.
True, but so is
Really?
so is that slave lady Shalui.
Um,
I don't know how to say their name. Shalui.
Sally. Just call her Sally.
No,
Call it a
no,
day.
no, not Sally. Sally is the secretary, the PR rep, the slave.
Oh.
Lily.
Why? Out of all the two characters, why are the names similar?
Personally, I think Rochelle is so far off from being handled that when it comes down to fighting them, Lionette's gonna handle their PR person. Have a Californian princess, or however you pronounce her country name, handle it. They're
That would
great
be
at
a cool.
diplomacy.
Yeah, that would be a cool take actually too. All right, let's get to some of these responses because I think people are eager to get to open discussion. So Mike says they don't think Rochelle will get destroyed this volume, but they think the trial will be the final arc of the volume, but the trial might make Rochelle the target of aggression. Mike also says that Sally doesn't know she needs to do something yet, in response to you, Mr. Wiggles. Yash, your thoughts?
I think Rochelle is gonna be like an overarching thing. We might see Rochelle yet, but I think the yet for another couple of volumes. But I have a feeling that each volume we're gonna see a couple or one or two or three of the old ghosts, the old slavers be taken down. I think this volume is gonna be Catalosian and Shalili, and we're gonna see them get taken out, and slowly we're gonna see Rochelle being chipped away. Emir Yazdil is still gonna be at the end. I think he's gonna be the final boss, and it's probably gonna be the horns of Hammerad who take him down. But and with Colt, of course, and I think after that, Colt is gonna after Rochelle is when we see the demons arc. Uh, we're gonna circle back to the demons arc, or during Rochelle fight itself, we're gonna see some kind of um this thing compliance or some kind of pact with the truce between the blighted kingdom and the demons. But Rochelle is going to be very important this season and next season. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Bridgerton. This volume and next volume, and I think we're going to see a lot of. We've already seen Thatlotion at work. We're going to see now Shalili as well. And I like what you said about Sally versus Shalili, but I don't think that's gonna happen realistically. I think Shalili is gonna go up against either Yelene or she's gonna go up against even Erin for the I don't know, maybe not Erin, but definitely somebody with a PR level class. We've already seen that Lotion go up against Yelron. So it's probably gonna be somebody in Erin's team. So that's going to be something to look out for because Sally doesn't have any personal stakes in the whole Rochelle incident. Incident. It's going to be somebody with extremely personal stakes. Uh, that'll be, if I had to guess, it might be it might be close. Who's with close? Trey. It might be Trey who goes up against Shaolili, or just uh, closest kingdom, Reem going against uh, the two slavers primarily. But yeah, this season I definitely see both of them being taken out. Where the trial is going to be I think the trial is going to be like a mid volume thing. I don't think the trial is going to go on till the end. We might see Erin do some progress. We might see Erin go to the dungeon of uh, Labyrinth of Souls and gonna find something there, and it's gonna again tie back in with Nuvitin, and Nuvitin is the one who's going to lead the charge against Roshal because he'll realize that at the end of the day they are the greater evil. Erin's gonna find a way to unite Terrandria against Roshal using Nuvitin.
Definitely some interesting theories, and I'm eager to see who's ending up going out against Rochelle. I don't think it's going to be Trey because Trey's got his own thing with the Wiggles. What are they called? The dead monster.
Actelius Shalash.
Chalyon
That,
Salas.
yeah, there we go. So I think that's going to be Trey's big deal. I don't know if Erin's obviously got beef with Rashal. I don't know, like you said, if she's going to be the one that majorly kind of takes them out. That might be Ryuga, right? If we continue with Pursua's alternate dimension Pursua's timeline in any way, shape, or form. We'll have to see how it goes. Wiggles, any thoughts before we jump to Bleach Soul?
Nope, no thoughts.
Bleach Soul, you're up.
Yeah, I think it was nice seeing how Rochelle used its soft power to influence other. I mean, they are rich as F, and they use their money to great effect. And that Saliwal, or whatever her name is, has like some kind of ridiculous skills to help with that. So I think it was just interesting to see how, like, it's not only military power that's relevant; it's also how to use your resources, your money, your gold, and your diplomacy to affect other nations, and how to manipulate others using your influence. I mean, yeah. So it was, nice angle to see. So that was, yeah. Oh, also, I don't think like Rochelle will fall this volume. So probably there are other priorities in this volume. So yeah, but I do think it's important to see other sides of conflict, confrontation than just military one. That's it.
All right, and Samu, you're up.
Yeah, I also don't think that Rochelle will face any serious consequences now, and I think it was laid out in the chapter pretty well how different lords and ladies and walled cities reacted to Rochelle's diplomacy and stuff. And I think it comes down to, especially the propaganda aspect of it, in the end, comes down to everyone being at their best game, who's gonna weigh in on this, and then we need Erin to be on top of her game with the Pavilion of Secrets, and will need Magnolia for this, and she will be involved somehow to counter Rochelle's propaganda. And I think before those two are not on that issue and have resolved some of the fallout of the battle at sea and stuff, before that we won't see any big action against Rochelle that will be in the end somehow global, I think, when they fall. So yeah, I don't think they will face the big fallout yet. And when the soft powers come back and are back from injury or reclusion, you could say, then we're gonna the thing is gonna pick up the anti-Rochelle propaganda, I guess. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you for that thought. Any wiggles? Any last thoughts?
Nope, no last thoughts for me.
I have a crack theory that I'm sure will be disproven by eager members. Yeah. Anyway, total crack theory. More that I would be eager to see how this would play out. But I think Floss is going to end up being the major party that takes on Rochelle.
Yeah,
And
Floss.
yep, go ahead.
Floss seems like a likely candidate. I think the other one is the Emperor Sans, really.
Emperor
It's not even
Sans.
controversial.
Nah, but I'm thinking Floss, and here's where the crack part comes in. That, like I said, I'm sure will be disproven in about 5 seconds. But what I would love to see Pirate pull off is we know that Floss went into this whole like 20-year depression because he lost his love, the gambler Fate, supposedly to being killed by Nears. But when you get that big and you're gambling with luck and fate, it would be really cool if we find out that Nears didn't kill her, but he walked in and something went down and it ended up being Rochelle that had murdered the Gambler of Fates while Nears is in the tent. And Nears gets blamed for it, but ends up being Rochelle. Somebody finds out, and Nears has been keeping it on the down low to prevent the world from basically going to flames. Because as soon as Floss finds out that Rochelle was the one behind it, he loses it. And so that's why he ends up going after Rochelle.
I want some of that white nose powder you're snorting, Asteria. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's some powder you got there. Wow.
It would be
That's
awesome.
premium crack indeed.
It would be fantastic. Come on.
Uh, it'd be. I think it would be weird for me. I think it'd be weird.
Oh, you know they could do it. They could totally pull it off.
Eh.
All right. So some disgruntled disagreements in the chat. Bikes for it. um. Yeah. But yeah, like, come on. Like, that would be the ultimate, like, also motivated by devastated tragic romance to
Mhm.
take down slavery.
Yeah.
And Flopswood actually has use as a character finally.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Okay. So Mick in chat says, honestly, I'm here for this area. I mean, if Pisces' story doesn't rise him to battle alone, what the else? What the fuck else would, other than being hit by boats? And Yoda says, "Was it Nier's curse to have terrible luck? He has the same luck. He doesn't have terrible luck. Get the same. Uh, he'll get the same result from doing things like 20 different times." Um. Anyways, with that crack theory from Asteria, I think it's time for us to end the recording. Any last thoughts besides the crack?
Join us next time. It's always fun to chat with you guys and hear your thoughts and theories. Thanks for a great discussion, and join us next time on the next chapter discussion.